Hi, Mark here, and today I'm going to give you my overview and a little review of the GL.iNet Slate 7 Wi-Fi 7 travel router. This is the latest in GL.iNet's line of travel routers, very popular, and brings for the first time Wi-Fi 7 to that range. Today I'm going to break this down into three sections. I'm going to give a bit of an overview of the product and hardware itself. Then I'm going to do a little bit of a discussion as to why you might want or even need a travel router, what kind of things this is good for, and then give you a bit of an overview of some of the ways that I've been using it. Now, the product itself, as you can see, nice and compact, fits in the palm of your hand, not especially heavy, but not overly light either. It does certainly feel as if there's a lot of tech packed in here. And in that regard, one thing that I want to draw attention to, first of all, is it has a touchscreen. This isn't just one or two little LEDs, nor is it just a display. It's an actual touchscreen, so you can actually see the status of your internet sources. You can swipe through, see the status of the product, turn certain features on or off, see your Wi-Fi information at a glance. This is really quite nice to see in a travel router. If you think about like a home router, you stick it in a corner and forget about it, and the only time you're ever going to look at things like the LEDs is if you've got a problem. Whereas a travel router, you're taking it to all sorts of different places. It's kind of nice to be able to see at a glance on a display the status information, be able to toggle features on or off, quickly get a QR code for your Wi-Fi networks that this thing is creating. This is quite handy. You know, when you're going places and traveling places, you don't just have a fixed machine that you can just quickly log into a user interface. You're kind of setting it up from scratch each time with whatever the internet source might be. So having this does make life a little bit easier in various different scenarios. That's really nice to see on this product. Now, in terms of the hardware itself, first of all, we've got these little antenna, and these can go all the way to 180 degrees, but there's also this kind of 90-degree stop point where you can position them in. So, you know, some people I've seen, they sort of put it on a wall and then they have the antenna upright. Other people, it's going to be on a table somewhere when they're at various different travel locations. So you can flip these antenna into whatever position you want. On the side here, there's a reset button, and there's also a little toggle switch. Now this you can configure in the software interface to toggle a specific feature of your choosing on or off. So literally the ability to enable or disable something at the flick of a switch. Round the back, the ports that we've got here, USB-C for power delivery in, a couple of network ports, one for LAN, one for WAN, both 2.5 gig, and then we've got a USB-A port. Now that USB-A port can be used for a couple of different purposes. One is that you can actually connect storage into this, and the software has a kind of mini NAS capability to share that storage out across the network. Or you can connect a phone into this and use USB tethering. That's one of the ways that you can get internet into the device. Now, in terms of getting the device powered up in the first place, you're going to need some sort of power source. In this case today, I'm running it off a power bank. This doesn't have a battery built in, nor does it have a cellular modem. GL.iNet have other products that have these kind of capabilities, but this is a router, and so you need to get power into this in the first place. GL.iNet, of course, give you a transformer adapter in the box. This is the US connector, and this is what you get regardless of where in the world you buy this. But if you flip these pins down, these then become the connection points for the adapters that you get in the box. So, for example, here's the UK adapter, and you simply snap that on, press the button to lock it into place, and you've now got a UK plug. And then you can simply push this off to disconnect. So you get that in the box, but of course you might also want to use other USB-C power sources that you've got available, other plugs, other power banks, connecting it up to a laptop, that kind of thing. If you do, make sure that you double check before you hit the road that those power sources are going to provide enough power for the device. It's not especially power hungry, but you do need enough power, for example, to wake up that USB-A port on the back. If you have a power source that provides just enough power to run the device, but not necessarily enough to wake up that USB-A port, you might find yourself connecting storage or connecting a phone and it just doesn't connect. So something to test before you hit the road. Obviously, GL.iNet's adapter provides plenty of power. This particular power bank that I'm using here, Anchor power bank, provides plenty of power as well. But if you've got other power sources and you're planning to use that USB-A port, make sure you check that before you hit the road. Now, a few other points about the hardware specifications. It's a Qualcomm quad-core 1.1 gigahertz CPU, a gig of DDR4 RAM, 512 meg flash. The Wi-Fi 7 that we've got here, 2x2 antenna arrangement, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. No 6 gigahertz support here. This is a travel router, you can't have everything, but it does support multi-link operation, MLO. So if you've got Wi-Fi 7 client devices that also support that, this device can connect in that way as well. As mentioned, no cellular here, so you're going to be getting internet into this in a variety of other ways. So one way is if you are lucky enough to find an active Ethernet port where you travel to, then you can connect that in here. Or of course, as mentioned, you can connect a phone and use USB tethering. But another capability that this device has is the ability to act as a kind of repeater gateway for another Wi-Fi hotspot. Now, why might you want to do that? Well, let's talk about that in a moment when I talk about the various different benefits of having a travel router. But first, before we move on to that, I want to take a quick look at the software. Now, I've actually done a separate video giving a full overview of GL.iNet's particular fork of OpenWRT and the interface that they provide for that. Now, it is OpenWRT, so you can still get to all of that under the hood, including SSHing into it or using the Lucy interface, but GL.iNet provide their own interface. If you want to take a look at that, click on the link here or in the description below and you'll get a full overview. But there are certain features that are unique and specific to this particular product, including things like configuring that toggle switch. So let's take a look at that now so that you can get a feel for some of the unique capabilities in the software interface for this particular product. So this is the GL.iNet Slate 7 interface, very much the same as other GL.iNet routers. For reference, we're on firmware version 4.8.1. So I'm just going to point out some of the things that are specific to this router. First, in the wireless section here, as this is a Wi-Fi 7 router, it does have the multi-link operation capabilities here that you can enable if you so choose. I don't actually have any Wi-Fi 7 clients currently, hence it's not turned on, but if I did, I'd be able to enable this feature, and as you can see, it's available both for your own network and for guest networking too. This is alongside 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz networking that you can enable as well. I would assume that the home router, the Flint 3 that GL.iNet have recently released, which also has Wi-Fi 7 and is 2.4, 5 and 6 gigahertz, would have these capabilities as well. If we go into the system section here, the first thing that I want to call out down here is display management. As you saw, this device has a touch screen on the front, so you can make some changes to that. So you've got under function management, you can enable or disable the various different, I guess we'd call them pages and displays that you can see on there that you can swipe through. You can add or remove, you can reorder them. There's additional functions that you can add as well. So you can make changes to customize that display. You can adjust what is displayed on the lock screen of the device when the device locks. You can choose what to display. If the thing that you're displaying has a wallpaper, you can even change the wallpaper and upload your own image for the wallpaper, which is pretty nice. That's a very nice feature. Then we've got the display brightness that you can adjust, the timeout for the auto lock, or whether or not the screen is always on. Certainly you'd probably want this to go to sleep, especially if you're using this in a bedroom or a hotel room. You don't want the display lighting up the whole room. You can ensure that the screen goes off after a few minutes. And then you've got a passcode you can have as well if you so choose, and you can type the passcode in on the display when you wake it up. The next thing I want to call out is the toggle button. You had the toggle switch that I highlighted on the side of the device, and you can choose what feature is going to be enabled or disabled when you toggle that switch. You've got repeater, Wi-Fi, VPN client, Tor, and AdGuard Home. And if you choose Wi-Fi, you can decide whether or not it's the main Wi-Fi or the guest Wi-Fi that you want to be toggled on or off. So if I select main Wi-Fi, for example, you can now see the display updates, and to the left, Wi-Fi will be on, to the right, Wi-Fi will be off. So you can make those adjustments however you wish. And that's pretty much the size of it when it comes to the unique capabilities that are different in the GL.iNet user interface for the Slate 7. So that's an overview of some of the unique software elements for this particular product. As mentioned, if you want to take a look at the full overview of the software, you can take a look at that in the link in the description below. Let's move on to talk about why you might want to have a travel router for you. Obviously, convenience is one of the most obvious elements here. The more you travel and the more devices you travel with, the more useful a box like this might be. Or indeed if you travel in a group on a regular basis with friends or family, all you need to do is get all of your devices connected once to this. And of course, they'll remember that Wi-Fi network. And then wherever you go, the only device that you need to get online is this. And once you do, everything else that you've got with you is going to be connected. Now, as mentioned, there are various different ways of getting an internet connection in here: USB tethering, Ethernet, or a USB or a Wi-Fi repeater gateway to another Wi-Fi hotspot. Doing so, of course, in that way means that you automatically get everything online. You only need to connect one device to that Wi-Fi hotspot. That then provides a degree of security and protection as well. This is another benefit that you have if you're using a kind of public network, like some sort of public hotspot in that regard. This kind of acts like a mini firewall between you and the network that you're connecting to. We often hear that if you're using a public network that you need to make sure you're protecting yourself because a cybercriminal might be looking to snoop on your traffic, but of course a cybercriminal might also be looking to see if they can probe your devices, get into them somehow if there's any vulnerabilities. This sits between your devices and that public network, acting as a kind of a mini firewall. I'm not saying that this is impervious, nothing is unhackable, but it's an extra thing that a cybercriminal might need to work their way past in order to get to your stuff. So it does provide a little bit of extra protection. Now, of course, another thing that is often mentioned in relation to public internet sources and hotspots is VPNs, using a VPN to protect your traffic so that it can't be snooped on quite so easily. The GL.iNet routers make great play of one of their key strengths here, which is you can actually connect your VPN on the device itself. And then all of the stuff, all of your stuff that you connect to this is then automatically protected with that VPN, including, of course, devices that otherwise might not be able to run a VPN. Obviously, things like phones, tablets, laptops that you bring with you, you're going to be able to install a VPN there. But what if you've got other devices that can't connect to a VPN? They connect to Wi-Fi, but they don't have the ability to install a VPN on them. Well, if they're connecting to this, they're going to be VPN protected as well. So you're bestowing that VPN protection onto more stuff. So you've got this kind of security available to you with a device like this. Also, family safety. If you're traveling with a family, you can use this to enable parental control capabilities. Obviously, you're going to want to make sure that your kids' devices can't in any way connect to other internet sources, but this does provide some additional opportunities to be able to ensure that you can bestow those family protections if you so need to. Another benefit that you get from a device like this is it's your network. It's a network that you control. If you connect to things like a Wi-Fi hotspot, devices are isolated from one another. So your devices can't directly talk to each other over that Wi-Fi network. With this, they can. It's a network that you control, so they can talk to each other over that network. So if you've got, say, a large file that you want to transfer from one device to another, it can be fairly easy to do as long as they can connect to each other. If you were using a public hotspot and you want to do things like upload a large file to some sort of cloud storage and then download it on another device, you might find that that's pretty slow. Many Wi-Fi hotspots throttle the internet speed, so uploading it could take ages and downloading it could take ages. Whereas if you've got a network you control, you could transfer files directly, maybe using something like Warpinator or other file transfer tools. And of course, there's various other things that you might want to do with a network that you control. Set up a, local gaming network, whatever it is that you might want to do. You've got the capability to do that here with this device. So you've got a lot of capabilities available to you in that regard. Another benefit that you've got available is that in some locations, you might find that the ability to connect devices is limited. Maybe they charge you to get online, or maybe they give you a very basic connection for free, but if you want to get a better connection, maybe more performance, you've got to pay. And sometimes that's locked down to be a kind of per device thing. Well, with this, you can just connect one device and then all of the stuff that you have with you are then connected through that one connection. You only have to pay once if you need to do so. One thing to mention about the repeater gateway capability here is that if there's a captive portal that you need to use to pay or even just give away your personal details or accept terms and conditions, this thing will pass that captive portal through to another device that you're using to set everything up, your phone, tablet, whatever, so that you can complete that captive portal process. this device will then capture that Wi-Fi session and get you online. So all of that stuff is supported. It works really, really nicely, works really, really well. How have I been using this device? Well, I have been taking it on the road with me to get devices set up. I've only managed to find one hotel that I've stayed in so far that had an active Ethernet connection. In many other places, I've been able to find a network port, but it's either not been live or it's not been kind of delivering any kind of internet connectivity over that Ethernet port. So it's very variable as to whether you're going to find an actual Ethernet connection that you can use in a hotel. This is a very variable thing. In other cases, I've used the repeater gateway function of this device, but it does kind of bring certain benefits. Is that I found that sometimes in a hotel room, the Wi-Fi signal can vary from one end of the room to another, even in a small hotel room. So this kind of gives you that repeater gateway capability, but also almost a little booster that you can put this somewhere in the room, hopefully, that you do have good internet signal, but then you've got your own internet signal coming from this to give you better connectivity. Performance can still be throttled because, of course, the hotel is controlling the actual Wi-Fi hotspot itself, and they can do that throttling, they can set that up however they want. But you do have that ability to maybe make your signal a bit stronger if you can find a good place to put this in the room. So it is useful when you're traveling around, and again, especially if you've got lots of devices that you're traveling with. Another scenario that I kind of tested a little bit was on a train. Now, this is a little bit of a tenuous one, but sometimes if I'm traveling for work, for example, I'll be on a train, I'll have my laptop with me, and I want to get that online so maybe I can do a bit of work whilst I'm sat there traveling and having a multi-hour journey on a train, for example. But as many of you might be aware, on a train, if you've got like a Wi-Fi hotspot, behind the scenes, that's just connecting to 4 or 5G. And as you're zipping along, it's trying to connect to various different cell towers, and the signal can be patchy, and therefore the experience that you're getting if you're using the internet on your laptop can be hugely variable. One moment you can be getting good connectivity, and the next minute the performance seems to drop away. These devices have the capability to connect up to multiple internet sources and then fail over between them, or even do load balancing. So I kind of thought to myself, well, as an experiment, let's connect this up to the onboard Wi-Fi and tether my phone, so that I've then got two internet sources going into this, and then my laptop is connecting to the router and has the benefit of a router that's got two internet sources behind it. And if one is dropping out, it can fail over to the other one. Now, there's always the possibility that my phone and the internet service that the onboard Wi-Fi is using is the same, but if they're different, then they might be using different cell towers or different connections, and hopefully between them you get an overall better experience with your laptop. There's a bit of a test case here, a bit of an edge case maybe. I'm sure most people might not necessarily want to do that, but based on my loose experience, it did seem to provide a relatively good experience. It did seem to work pretty well. Now, is it, definitely better than just using one source or the other? I'm not sure. I'd need to be able to do a bit more scientific testing than just playing around with it, and I haven't really had the opportunity to do that. But it worked well, seemed to provide good internet capability and worked pretty well. Another thing that I did with this for a little while, but I'm not needing to do this anymore, is I actually used this to set up a guest network in my home. Now, my previous router was an old Linksys Velop router, and when I started using a Pi-hole on my network, I found that I had to turn the DHCP server in the router, the Wi-Fi router, Linksys router, off, so that I had to use the DHCP server built into the Pi-hole. It just wasn't sophisticated enough what I had on the Linksys Velop. But it's all or nothing. When I did that, it also turned off DHCP for my guest network coming from that Velop router. So that kind of just broke the guest network. So I had to find another way of getting a guest network set up when people came to visit my home, because the cellular signal isn't great inside the home here. I used this to do so, and was able to set up a guest network with this through my primary internet connection here at home, and therefore provide a guest network. This could still be something that you could use even if you do have good guest networking capabilities on your home router, to provide a completely separate and different guest network with different security settings, even VPNing traffic automatically, so that anything that your visitors are doing over the guest network is kept private and completely secure and is in no way associated with your home network. So you've then got a different way of setting things up if you wish. I now have a GL.iNet Flint 2 router at home, and that's much more sophisticated than what I had before, and it's got its own guest network running, and everything's working really well there. And I'll probably do a review of the Flint 2 at some point as well. But we're focusing on the Slate 7 here today. These are some of the ways that I've used it. Hopefully you've found that useful in outlining some of the benefits of the product and what it might be good for. Is it a good product? Does it work really well? Yes, is my overall appraisal. It's a very, very powerful product, particularly when you combine the fact that it's got relatively good hardware that we're getting here, and when you combine that with things like OpenWRT, there's just a lot of capability there. Now, not everybody is going to want to leverage the full power of OpenWRT under the hood, but what it has enabled is that GL.iNet have been able to take a lot of that and package it into a relatively easy to use format that works really, really well in a travel router for delivering those kind of capabilities. The convenience of being able to get online easily and get all of your devices set up quickly because they're already connected to this, the VPN capabilities to protect your traffic, all of these capabilities are delivered really, really well. And GL.iNet, obviously, they keep innovating their firmware and delivering new capabilities and new features. So I'm interested to see what additional capabilities are bestowed on this product going forward as they iterate that firmware and that software. But it does feel like the source of a lot of the power of this product. It is good hardware, but the software really delivers a lot of the benefits here and a lot of the capabilities that you get. And it works very, very well. So I really like this product. Good price for what you get as well. It's pretty good value to get these things. If you don't need Wi-Fi 7, GL.iNet have a range of other products. If you're looking for something that has battery and cellular capabilities built in, again, they've got other products that are available for you there. But if you're looking for a decent travel router that you can take with you on the road, if you travel a lot, if you travel with a lot of devices, if you travel with others, you're going to find a lot of benefit from this. If you don't travel quite so much, or if when you do, you only tend to take one device with you, this may not be for you. Travel routers in general may not be for you. But if you're looking for a travel router, GL.iNet have kind of made a pretty good name for themselves in their lineup of travel routers, and this seems to be another great product in that lineup. So yes, very much recommend that. Hope you find this useful. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. If you use these travel routers from GL.iNet, let me know your experiences, or indeed if you've got experience of other products, let me know whether you think they're better, worse, how you think they might compare. Be really interested to hear your comments. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching.